Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's Muhammad Shafiq with this week's edition of Outlook with me, Muhammad Shafiq. Exclusively here on Takbeer TV, we're broadcasting SKY Channel 743. We're on social media, we're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Wherever there's a social media platform, you can catch this program live on air through the username Takbeer TV. Now, as we come to air on a new, fresh week in British politics, we see the party conference is about to happen. First, it will be the Liberal Democrats who will have their party conference later on this weekend into next week. It'll be then the Labour, and they'll be in Bournemouth for the Liberal Democrats. The Labour Party will be gathering in Liverpool once again for their annual conference, which will include a speech by the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, on Tuesday from Liverpool. And then the Conservative Party will be gathering in the greatest city on earth, I would argue, well, particularly in the UK anyway, but Manchester will host a Conservative Party with Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservative Party, in her first party conference as leader of the Conservative Party. And also, as we come on air, we remember on Thursday the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, how do we react to this assassination, and what do you make? It's a question that I've often been asked on social media, and I thought, why not address it here on TV today? For those of you who might not know, Charlie Kirk was a 31-year-old activist, political activist, and he was shot dead, assassinated at a rally in Utah in the United States last Thursday, the 10th of September. He was a very close ally of US President Donald Trump, and it's argued as a result of his grassroots campaign to get the vote out in the presidential election in 2024, Charlie Kirk was instrumental in making sure that Donald Trump won the battleground states of Wisconsin and Michigan. Now, he obviously traveled around the country at universities, giving lectures, having debates, and interacting with students and doing questions. He had a very determined view on many topics in regards to his politics and regards to his views, I would argue, abhorrent views on Palestine, his inflammatory comments about Islam and Muslims, and its ongoing demonization of minority groups, particularly ethnic minority groups. It is something that we profoundly disagree with as Muslims. But to be killed in that broad daylight in the way that he was abhorrent. It was unacceptable, an affront to decency, particularly with his wife and child now being deprived of the love of a husband and a father. So as Muslims, we can condemn and certainly challenge and call out the rhetoric, the inflammatory rhetoric that we see from Charlie Kirk and have seen, and will continue to see people like who will try to amplify what he has said now that he's no longer here. But you can also then show compassion towards another human being who you profoundly disagree with. And I think you can easily hold those two viewpoints without bringing yourself into a position where we glorify the death of somebody. And if you read the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when there was sat with some Sahabis and a funeral passed by, it was a Jewish funeral. And the Prophet ﷺ stood as a matter of respect for this coffin that was passing, this march of Jewish people who were passing as a procession following a funeral. And the Sahaba said to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, this is a Jewish man. And the Prophet ﷺ replied, was he not a human being? Clearly, and I'm not a scholar, but I spend a lot of time with scholars showing that we don't glorify the killing of somebody. We don't glorify him. So that doesn't mean that we don't deny the things that he said, or we don't address the issues he said. For example, when we see over 60,000 people being killed in Gaza, and on an every day we have seen that number increase. And this was somebody who stood profoundly, strongly with Israel. And that is something which we do. So we can condemn his assassination. We can condemn what happened to him. We can say we found it abhorrent, and we do. But we do not glorify death, and we do not celebrate death I just wanted to answer that question, which many people have been asking me about. Right, tonight we are going to go to Huddersfield very shortly to talk to Councillor Imran Safdar about his political journey and the issues facing British Muslims and the British people. On the day that we've seen a defection from a sitting Conservative MP, Daniel Kruger, has defected to the Reform Party, and we see the election of Zach Polanski as the new leader of the Green Party. And we have, at some point in the days to come, your party, Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultan, Slash and others, putting together a party, a political party, and we'll talk about that as well. But my guest is Imran Safdar. He's a councillor there, he's a political activist, he's a broadcaster, he's a man of many talents. He's joining us live now there from Huddersfield on the wrong side of the Pennines. Now, when I normally interviewed you, Imran, on a different platform, I was always careful because I was in Yorkshire. I kind of had to behave myself. I had to make sure that I didn't bring myself into disrepute and my visa revoked. But now I'm safely sat in Greater Manchester, and I can tell you that you're on the wrong side of the Pennines. How are you doing?
You know, in the spirit of the new spirit of politics within my particular ward, you know, I'm going to agree to disagree. But you're very welcome to pop over, and the viewers, to enjoy Dixon's ice cream with me, the greatest ice cream in the land, even better than the ice cream in Lancashire. But no, Zakaria, thank you for that.
I'm sure there are many other brands available and many other beautiful...
Indeed.
Even in Lancashire. You know, let's just start. I just want to ask you, if I may, about Charlie Kirk, this political activist who was assassinated on Thursday. You've seen the reaction on social media, Muslim Twitter, sort of mainstream Twitter. What do you make of what happened to him, and what should our reaction be to such an assassination, particularly when everything that he talked about we profoundly disagree with, whether it's Palestine and Israel, whether it's Islam, whether it's minority rights and diversity and inclusion? We were in different positions. How do you think we should react when something like this happens?
Shafiq Saab, I think you actually, mashallah, you know, my lovely brother, you know, we've got such a wonderful connection as British Muslims, as people who engage people in different communities regularly. You took the words out of my mouth. That hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you know, the greatest humanitarian to have ever lived, such a beautiful example to all mankind. He was a mercy to all mankind. That example of when he went to see a non-Muslim lady, and was it part of the process of nursing him back to health? That's key to my particular thoughts on this. Yeah, his views were tremendously divisive and insulting, but our deen is stronger than that. Our deen is stronger than that. And my brothers and sisters, you know, we mustn't celebrate the death of someone, no matter how many times you disagree with him. And what we must try to do, no matter how challenging, no matter how difficult, we must try to bring those lost souls back to humanity. And it's challenging and it's tremendously difficult. But just yesterday, I offered some residents an opportunity to sit with myself and other British Muslims to enjoy an onion bhaji. We've all seen the photo of someone who was enjoying an onion bhaji in London during the far-right march. And do I believe every single person on that Tommy Robinson-inspired march was a racist? Maybe, maybe not. But lots of racists were there. Now, sometimes these young impressionable people...
Imran Bhai, isn't that part of the problem?
They need guidance.
Isn't that part of the problem that we have on this debate, that we term it like you just termed it, which is not every single person on that march was a racist, which then adds legitimacy to what was being said at that march. There were very inflammatory comments about Muslims, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were comments about politicians should be assassinated, somebody should be shot. Are we normalizing the language of the far right by making the statement that you've just made?
No, not at all. Look, we have to take that approach that our elders did. We've got to, yes, we have to stand up for our communities. We mustn't apologize to be Muslim. We mustn't, you know, I believe that integration is important, but we cannot completely integrate. We cannot completely give up our ways, the Sunnah and the ways of our great of our great Deen. But at the same time, there's time for confrontation. There's time for challenging debates and raising our voices and taking bold steps and peaceful non-cooperation. There's time for that. There's time for protests like the ones that took place during the apartheid era. There's time for protests like we've seen. I can't mention the particular word of the group that's now been prescribed. There's time for action, peaceful non-cooperation, and there's time for diplomacy, conversation, and breaking bread. But I agree with you that we mustn't let any party, any political group, legitimize the far right. They are a scourge, and I call upon people involved in Prevent to take further action. In fact, on Wednesday night, I'll be submitting some questions to my own council to ask what local, regional, and national authorities are doing to stem this radicalization as I see it. We're seeing young, sometimes impoverished young men and sometimes young mothers being radicalized and fed lies. Like, for example, I had to dispel one myth about how asylum seekers, some genuine, maybe some not genuine, and I think the key problem here is the fact that we've left the Dublin Agreement. Brexit is playing a key role in this. So we've got to educate our friends and neighbours from different communities, and indeed our own, that when we left the European Union, we left what we call the Dublin Agreement. Before that, there was a mechanism to send asylum seekers to the first country where they entered the European Union for processing. Part of the problem is that we don't have enough processing staff. Now I'm linking the awful Charlie Kirk murder, despite his awful views, to the current boats and dinghy crisis. It's only one part of the problem this country is facing right now. But some people on the far right, on the hard right, are amplifying and adding fuel, adding masala to the situation.
I mean that's the interesting thing, because you've got somebody who is very influential, very good at his job as a debater, as a political activist, as a influencer, whatever you want to call him. I just found that there was a bit of celebration by some people on social media. I mean, first of all, I think of as a father, he's got 2 young children. What impact that would have on his children is he was shot whilst in the presence of his wife, and that impact, and then the sort of glorification of this sort of activity, and then this I don't know, I just get a sense you hear President Trump saying that this is about the left, when clearly we don't know the full facts of this person who shot him and killed him. But we do know that polarized American politics seems to be seeping into our politics in this country. Charlie Kirk's views about Islam, about Palestine, was obviously something which was deeply distasteful and unacceptable for so many Muslim voices around the world.
Yeah, absolutely appalling views and almost Nazi-like views. But it's challenging, but we have to debate, or rather like Mary Sanders, rather like we've got people like Zara Sultana debating. We mustn't stoop to their levels. We've got to show the beauty of Islam. And I think one of the key things we can do is talk about how Muslim communities and Sikh communities are involved in community feeding. Now, actually, I'm going to pause that 1 minute. I like to also mention, because I've got lots of wonderful Sikh family and friends and who like family almost, so to speak. And my thoughts have to go out to the Sikh community at this time, because a British Sikh girl, one of our Asians, upbringing, because when we came over in the 50s, 60s, 70s, we were one communities were together. So, and this awful sexual assault, this rape of this British Sikh girl, simply for being brown, it's appalling. And is this what the far right wanted? Is this what Tammy Robinson desired? Are those people on the marches happy with this? Is this about, how does that link to fighting the boats and dinghies and what have you? So that's the key question here. So now, but coming back to what you said earlier,
I mean, obviously,
yes,
can I just for our viewers' sake, just so they know, this rape of really traumatic experience for this young girl, which West Midlands police have said they're treating it as a racially aggravated rape. A 30-year-old man was arrested and is currently being questioned on suspicion of carrying out that rape. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see what the full facts are of that case as well. But you do make a very important point, this polarization, even within the South Asian community. You just said something which really kind of touched me. There was this sense of community between Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs.
Massively.
India, obviously Modi, their Prime Minister Modi and his politics and, BJP. But actually, even in this country, there was that relative sense of community. Places like Huddersfield, Leicester, Southall, Birmingham, where those communities are living together. What can we do? Show solidarity with the Sikh community, obviously, but what can we do to kind of go back to those relationships?
I think interfaith work is hugely important. And I think, one thing I respect about the Sikh community, especially in West Yorkshire here, is they have the Langar projects, they have the feeding kitchens. And we've seen this now, and we've seen this in my own community, in our own in Huddersfield now, where we've got our first community fridge. And this started in Halifax, and it's in Wickham and other towns. So essentially, it started off as almost like a porta cabin or a shed and a fridge outside the certain masjids. And now it's become almost a national network, giving clothing, giving counselling, cups of tea, meals, breakfast, coffees, a helping hand, food, irrespective of faith. And this is what all Muslims, we need to get intelligent. We need to own the charity space. We need to own the cultural space, own the political space. We need to get involved, despite how disheartening it is. And the genocide in Palestine is disheartening. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put us here for a reason. We are here to feed our neighbors. We are here to enrich our communities. And we are here as ambassadors of Islam. Now, look, I'm only a student, okay? And I think we need to look at the tremendous efforts of the Christian community, the Sikh community, and our Muslim community when it comes to giving, seva, sadaqah, giving psalms, as they call it. So that's our tool. That's our tool to de-radicalize people that may well have drifted towards this false Farage-inspired, Robinson-inspired narrative. So it's about sadaqah, it's about seva, it's about helping those who may be lost and helping them come back to humanity.
Yeah, and that's really interesting that you made coming back to humanity. Sort of, we see what happens. I don't know if you saw yesterday's cricket match in the Asia Cup between Pakistan and India, which India won, but that they refused to shake the hands of the Pakistani players. It's kind of got steeped into this sort of division and hatred, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the ability to kind of build those bridges as community. That doesn't mean that we can forget our own political positions, be passionate about each country. Indians will love India and will be loyal to India. Pakistanis will do the same for Pakistan. British Pakistanis, British Indians will have this dual sense of loyalty to their country of origin from their parents' side and certainly from the UK. But let's just move on. I just want to talk, we touched on it, about the political context that we live in, that the sort of division that we have seen on the left. We've got the Green Party on the rise, the Liberal Democrats on the rise. We have Labour on the way down because they're a party of government. But we've also got Your Party, this Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultana party that is apparently in the works, and there's lots of conversations going on around that. I just want to put a question to you that I put to Mish Rehman, who was a former NEC member of the Labour Party a few weeks ago. And I asked him that, can any political party be broad enough to have people who have social conservative views on, let's just say, trans rights, for example, because they're Muslim, or LGBT rights because they're Muslim, and also have people who are profoundly strong advocates and supporters for the rights of trans people in the society? He thinks not. Zara Sultana said on social media she thinks not. She thinks if you've got social conservative viewpoints, you're not going to be welcome in this party. Where do those people go? Because that's an awful lot of Muslims who see themselves as social conservatives who are being told your party is not a place for them.
I'm not going to get involved in the internal policy debates and challenges faced by your party. I have an immense amount of respect for Jeremy Corbyn and Zara.
But is the Green Party, is a party which you're now part of, is the Green Party wide enough to have that balance of between somebody?
Absolutely. I can't speak for the leadership. More than
I'm not asking you to talk. I'm talking about you.
Yeah, but
you're somebody with a proud. Let me ask you the question.
I believe it is.
Let me ask you the question. You're a proud Muslim. Alhamdulillah, you're a great leader. You do some great stuff in the community. You're a good friend. But I'm asking that very simple question: is the Green Party, for example, big enough to hold views which are socially conservative, as well as having pro-LGBT, pro-trans positions within the party? Is that party wide enough to have that?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have been made to feel extremely welcome in the party. There is a large Muslim Green Association, and we had a tremendous success with a young brother elected in Accrington. And mashallah, we had so many. You're
talking about Sohail Askar?
Yeah, mashallah, Sohail's done a tremendous job. We've just elected Motin Ali as our deputy leader. Mashallah, he's very much on the deen. He's into environmentalism, agriculture. In fact, Motin actually helped some farmers and some kind of market garden operation in Gaza. So he's Palestinian in his heart. And again, and when Motin says in our thousands and millions we are all Palestinians, I echo the sentiments entirely. And it's because of the Green Party's consistent stance. And I'm going to say it live on air now. I've made my fair share of mistakes. May Allah guide us and forgive us all, inshallah.
All of us.
I finally found my final political home, because the Green Party right now, they are where the Labour Party should be. We didn't leave the Labour Party left us. And Motin Ali's ex-Labour man, and in fact, Bismillah, he's calling me now. So he's in mashallah, there we go. He's actually calling me now. But he's a lovely brother, mashallah.
Yeah, he is.
He's got compassion.
I mean, obviously, that's great that you.
He's a true community champion. That inspired me.
All right, so it's great that you feel. Okay, it's great that you feel like that. Just before, I fail every week to say this. We are taking your live calls. You can call us in, share your thoughts on the murder of Charlie Kirk. What impact will that have? Talk us about politics, the Green Party. 0161 529 9455. Let's go to the lines. Let's go to the first caller. Assalamu alaikum. You're live on Takbeer TV. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Walaikum salam. Shaf, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. What's your name, brother?
It's Hasnain.
Hasnain Saab, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I just want to say I love your program.
Thank you, sir.
You do excellent work, Shaf.
Alhamdulillah. What do you think about Charlie Kirk's assassination?
To be honest with you, I've not seen it as much, but I have heard about it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling us.
No problem. Thank you, Shaf.
Take care. I'll stand by. MashaAllah, Allah bless you. Thank you so much.
Mashallah, you've got lots of fans, brother. Mashallah, you've got lots of... You're a celebrity.
Do you know
You're
what?
an inspirational hero.
Imran, I always say this, and you can vouch for this because we've known each other at least 5 years when we were working on a different platform.
Longer.
Yeah, longer. But I've never made it about myself. I've always made it about the program and the issues and my guest. And so thank you so much. Allah bless you, all of you who support me, who pray for me. As you said earlier, we're all sinful people. We all want to do the best in our life for the deen, for ourselves and our families. But so you've got that, you feel as if you're finally in a home, in a community that you feel comfortable with, and you can hold socially conservative viewpoints. For example, let me ask you, the Green Party only a few years ago was against halal meat. They were openly advocating a policy which is to ban halal meat in this country. Do you feel comfortable with to be in a party like that?
I know that's been put to bed a long time ago. That was a very, very small minority of the party. That's kosher halal is very safe for the Green Party, be in no doubt whatsoever. But what I want to talk about really is, and what the Greens are going to talk about is we want to hold reform, the Tories to account, especially about net zero. Because it's pretty clear that all this anti-net zero nonsense, that are coming from the reform of the Tories, all this attacking the green agenda, it's from big oil. You've got to look at where reform of Tories is getting their funding from. You know, so look, the two biggest cry for me, the two biggest problems right now, okay, not only the genocide in Gaza, okay, okay, three problems: the genocide in Gaza, the state of the Ummah, and the cost of living crisis here at home. And the cost of living crisis is linked to climate change. Okay, that's and look, right. People like the likes of Farage, the Tories, some people right, the Labour Party, and Reform, they're being funded to the tune of millions of pounds by oil and gas interests. Okay, and these are highly polluting industries, and these are climate science deniers. Most of these millionaires and billionaires, they don't care about Muslim communities, Christian communities, people of all faiths and none struggling to pay their bills. They don't really care about how difficult it is for people with asthmatic issues, bronchitis issues, breathing issues, struggling with horrible toxic fumes in cities like London and Birmingham and other cities, especially in the Muslim world. Now, by people like Farage and Badenoch, okay, pandering to anti-net zero stuff and taking donations from the climate denying lobby, right? We're facing a massive problem because climate change is real. It's one of the most important issues that the Green Party are concerned about, and the Lib Dems, to be fair to them as well, okay, and the SNP. But when we've got fossil fuels hydrocarbons being burned, affecting the climate of the world, causing the polar ice caps in the Himalayas to melt, we're seeing floods. We've seen how many floods we've seen in Pakistan. Shafiq, how many floods have we seen in Pakistan in the past few years? 3 devastating times. Am I right?
Yeah, you are. So we're going through one at the moment. I mean, obviously that is a unique policy discussion about green policies. What was really interesting about your recent leadership election, in which Zach Polanski beat Ellie Charles and Adrian Ramsey, was there was
all
very
great
little.
Candidates.
Sorry,
all great candidates.
No, but it was very little about green issues. Climate change.
Well, I'm here to talk about, Mike, because let's come to this, net zero, it's a win-win for ordinary people in the UK, right? Because we'll see lower bills, warmer homes, great skilled jobs, and a future for our children and grandchildren, where our children and grandchildren can breathe. And, if it is more renewables, solar, I want to see solar on top of every masjid, inshallah. I want to see more windmills. I want to see heat pumps. I want to see insulation. Because if we are spending less on energy as masajids, as mothers, as fathers, as carers, if we're spending less on energy, if we've got our own solar panels and renewable energy schemes locally, okay, like Shayna's talking about, like Moses talking about, like Zach's talking about, like Ellie's talking about, like the Lib Dems are talking about, the SNP's talking about, like I'm talking about, okay, if we rush towards that green agenda and bring those bills down, that gives us more money for sadaqah, that gives us more money for zakat, that gives us more money for loving and feeding our neighbors. So this is one of the biggest crises of our time. And look, you might think, what's climate change got to do with Gaza? Okay, there are corporations right now that have got their eyes on the gas reserves just off the coast of Gaza. It's linked. Racial justice, climate justice, it's linked. And this is why I made my final home with the Green Party. But bismillah, I welcome Adnan. I welcome the likes of Zara, and I've got a lot of love for people like Jeremy Corbyn, and there are some people even in the One Nation Reign Conservative Party who I say, look, join us, in the Green Party. We've got 3 types of greens. We've got the blue greens, the red greens, and the eco warrior greens. Join us.
Okay, but I just want to talk to you, Imran, about your new party leader, Zach Polanski, somebody I've interviewed a few times. Massive majority, landslide victory. He's causing waves. He's putting Greens back on the agenda. What's really interesting, he's been very energized. Do you think he can keep that up for the next 4 years until we get the next general election, which is expected to be sometime in 2029?
Absolutely. And Zach shared an article a few days ago actually about the cost of living crisis. And look, Zach gets it that there are people in this country who are struggling with cost of living crisis, who have mental health challenges, who are on waiting lists, who have been fed misinformation. And, look, Zach mentioned something recently, that 14 million people in Britain, or that's nearly 3.8 million children, that's 27%, are experiencing hunger due to financial hardship. That's a significant increase from 2022. And he mentioned actually recently the Trussell Trust reports that the deepening crisis regarding low incomes, insufficient benefit rates, rising rents, soaring energy bills, this requires urgent government action. This is where we've got to step up as Greens, as people on the left and centre left. So, you know, campaigners like Zach, like Martin, like my friend Andrew Cooper, and then Alex Vickers, lots locally, you know, we echo these sentiments. This is a scandalous political failure, that there are so many children going to sleep hungry here in the United Kingdom. You know, so I know naturally as Muslims we're kind of centre, maybe small C conservatives, maybe slightly right of the Labour Party. You know, we're not socialists, we're not communists, but look where we are. Look the floods.
Yeah. I know you've said this already, but I just want
so many people.
Take you back to the question I asked you about.
Let's take you back to the climate deniers.
All right, but let me ask you the question. I'm struggling to understand why you don't want to answer the question. Do you think Zach Polanski can keep it up for the next 4 years?
Absolutely. Inspirational leader, absolutely. And Ellie and Adrian are on board as well. Rachel's a fantastic deputy leader. Morton's a great deputy leader. We've got such a wealth of talent. And you know, we've got a Greens for Palestine group, which is growing. Some intelligent, articulate people of all faiths and none. And we've got great cooperation between Jewish members and Muslim members, and people are Christian and all faiths and none. And Zach is bringing a whole new kind of demographic to the party. But we're still passionate about climate change, and we're still passionate about tackling child poverty. You know, so and we are very much against further privatisation of the NHS. We're very much keen on bringing people's bills down, and the way we do that is by nationalising or pushing for nationalisation of water boards, of gas companies, electric companies, and we're very much on the side of working people, and we believe passionately in wealth taxes, not for the brother that owns 5-6 restaurants or the brother with 5-6. No. We want to seriously challenge and look at the accounts and finances of the billionaires and the multi-billion, the people with billions of pounds in profit.
All right, so it sounds like very much that you're on the same page for a wealth tax with Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. I just wanted to share some thoughts from our viewers. Again, if you're watching this on social media, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on, I think, X as well. Councillor Laura Manston says, absolutely, the answers to climate change are the same answers to the cost of living crisis.
Absolutely.
Sarah Afzal says, sad stuff. And Aftab Ali, who is a good friend of mine, he says, my take on the Charlie Kirk assassination is that he was a divisive figure. Some of his views I agreed on, but I don't think he was anti-Semitic as per se. His views was that Islam is incompatible with Western values, not anti-Islamic, not anything that I've seen. As Muslims, we know that to be incorrect, but when you live in an echo chamber, as those influencers and politicians do, they will not change their views by themselves. Personally, I think it was assassination. We don't know the exact reason, but it's likely that he was going to speak out about something and that had to be stopped. What that might have been, we may never know. And obviously, as we know, that investigation is still going on. The person has been arrested and is currently is refusing to cooperate with the investigation. We do expect to hear from the Utah governor tomorrow and prosecutors about him. And the accused will be appearing in a court tomorrow morning, US time. Thank you again. If you want to share your comments, we're getting lots of comments as well on my WhatsApp as well, so I'll try to get through some of them as well. Imran, so we just go back to that wealth tax, which I think is a really important. You talk about the cost of living crisis. It's a real talking point of Zach Polanski's policy agenda. His leadership campaign was that the wealthy billionaire class need to be held to account and pay more. That's what Jeremy Corbyn's talking about. That's what Zara Sultana's talking about. That's what Ed Davies talking about. That's what the Scottish Nationalist and the Welsh Plaid Cymru parties are doing. It's a consensus on the centre-left of politics. Is this a way for unity to be applied across political parties on working on an issue that you all agree on?
Look, I'm just a lowly member, but I'm hoping...
You're a very important member, if I may say so.
No, I'm just a servant of Allah, that's all I am, brother, and my community. But listen, brother, back the calls of long-standing members and various secretaries and tremendously hard-working councillors like Councillor Laura Master, who just commented there, who does a lot of work alongside various people in the Green Party. But I back calls from members in the party to start negotiations with especially Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's new initiative. I think it's really important that we work together on policies, that we campaign together on issues that can be mutually beneficial, and we put people first. Now, I believe that we at some stage there may have to be some form of People's Alliance, like what happened in France, and I think we've got a lot to learn from the SNP, from Plaid Cymru, and we've got a lot to learn from, again, people like David, the important voices, and Zach Polanski, for me, he is, and working with Ellie Charles, Adrian Ramsey, and the likes of Morton and Laura and Rachel. These are our future leaders, inshallah, and we've got to, and I think they've got the foresight and the wisdom to talk to other groups and other allies to think about radical solutions that benefit.
I just wanted to just give you that comparison. We see it in France, particularly in French politics, where the left united and won the French election. They got the largest share of the vote, weren't able to form a government because there was a hung parliament. But you saw the Socialist Party, the left, the far left party, the Greens, standing together on a shared platform. Do you think that is something that we could see in this country between the Greens, your party, and some of the nationalists?
I hope so. I'm not big on nationalism, but we do agree on certain policies. I hope so. But again, that's way above my pay grade. But I will, as a member, and it's one member, one vote, and I was selected by that one member, one vote. There was no Bradley politics involved in my selection whatsoever. And I think we've got to come away from that. And I call on Muslims in other parties to join us, to join the Green Party. And if it's not for you, then look at alternatives. But we would welcome people of good conscience in open arms. Morton was once a Labour Party member. I was once a Labour Party member. But come over to the Green Party. We have a great Muslim Green Association. We've got a growing Greens for Palestine Association, and my own group leader Andrew has been a consistent supporter. In fact, let me tell you something. He actually taught me a lot. He taught me some very important points on the Palestinian liberation struggle and human rights abuses over 12 years ago. So we've got allies in the Democrat Party, your party. So
he's somebody that I know well. I've interviewed him a few times over the years, and look forward to continuing this conversation. I just want to talk a bit about you. Obviously, you're probably at that stage of your life where you finally have found the party that you're comfortable with and you feel at home at, and it's been quite a journey for you. You were elected as a Labour councillor. You resigned over Gaza, which is something many others didn't choose to do, but you chose to do that. Walk away from that political party
very early on.
I remember it because we were discussing the circumstances around that, and you're now being reselected or selected as the Green Party candidate in your own ward in which you're currently a councillor. What are you doing to convince people to switch their vote to you because they know what type of councillor they will get in the local elections, and who are reluctant to support the Green Party in this election?
We're very much about holding the current minority administration to account, and we're involved in lots of community cleanup projects and supporting local food banks. So we're consistent in supporting, for example, our local community fridge project, which is run out of Masjid Hanfiya, one of our own, alhamdulillah. And I must pay tribute to brother Hafiz Imran Sarwar and young Hafiz Rizwan, and our dear Ustad Qari Ghulam Sarwar, who is an inspirational teacher, mashallah, lots of wonderful Qari Sahibs across the north of England, and that community fridge project is very much on our radar, and inshallah I wish to be helping that project in the future. And in fact, I'm organising a a kiddie's little fun afternoon with a car wash and a barbecue and cake sales and face painting, inshallah, this coming Sunday. So with the Kirklees council budget drastically cut and our ward budget cut, I'm trying my best to engage with people. I'm trying to sort out fly tipping issues. I've got two tremendously hardworking, amazing colleagues in Councillor Alex Vickers and Councillor Joe Lawson, and they muck in with us on the community cleaning project. So we've got people. In fact, what was beautiful, and so Councillor Alex Vickers, who has taught so many Muslim special needs children and children from other backgrounds as well. She and myself and Joe Lawson and the Eden Foundation Masjid. We organised a massive community cleanup day, and it was Muslim kids, all men like me, and tremendous mothers like Joe and Alex, and Maulana Usman from Eden Foundation, and some lovely American Christian young people came together. I lost my Enoch, I lost my glasses, but that's by the by. It's life, isn't it? And but we collected. I think we collected about 20 bags. Yeah. And there was another day where outside Spring Grove School, again a school in the middle of the very multicultural West Indian white Asian mixed area of Springwood in Huddersfield, we collected 49 bags of rubbish. We mucking ourselves. It's not all about shirt, tie, pant, jubba and nice fancy waistcoats and going to a jalous and walking about like a sarkar. No, it's not about that.
Yeah.
You rarely see me like Ismail. Yeah? It's about mucking in, cleaning. Get involved.
I mean, that's grassroots politics, isn't it? I mean, when you are, it's grassroots politics. It's about being engaged in the communities. It's being from the communities, and that makes a real big difference. We're probably coming towards the end of our time. I don't know where it's gone.
Flown by.
Really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope we can do it again. Just looking to what's happening in Gaza. We see today the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been visiting Israel and just in a press conference with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We have seen over 64,000 people have been killed, majority of them children and women and innocent civilians. We don't see no end in sight. And we're on the verge of the United Nations General Assembly in a couple of weeks where the UK is expected to formally recognise a Palestinian state. How do you feel about British government? How do you feel about our communities, and what's your message to the people of Gaza?
So, the wider population of Gaza is being starved and being bombed and annihilated, and this is not the behavior of a state seeking peace. The Israeli government right now are actually behaving like a rogue state. They're operating completely out of the boundaries of international law. And at which stage, and I said this actually, I think it was end of October, early November, just after the awful attacks of October 7th, which we condemn unreservedly. But there shouldn't be a but. If you look at the bigger picture, okay, there was so much violence towards innocent Palestinians before the awful events of October 7th. That there needs to be international peacekeepers on the ground to protect both sides from each other. There needs to be international peacekeepers on the ground, maybe an Arab, EU, led cooperative force, not to fight any one side, but to disarm all parties and impose that two-state solution. There needs to be the dismantling of all illegal settlements, and all parties must take seriously their international treaty obligations. I'm not trying to be political here, but the Green Party was the first political party in England Wales to recognise that the Israeli government's conduct was classed as apartheid and genocide. And it's interesting that Mayor Sadiq Khan, who I still have some respect for, as a Muslim brother and a mayor like I am, but he kept saying plausible genocide, and it was Zach Polanski, okay, who was actually speaking on behalf of the Palestinian people. How ironic is that? Someone named Khan, okay, was being grilled by someone named Polanski. Okay, I'm not going to go to the personal lives, but it was almost like Mayor Sadiq Khan was ducking the question posed by Zach Polanski, okay, the leader of the first party, to call it genocide, to call it apartheid, okay. He was asked the question, why isn't President Herzog being arrested as per the ICJ rulings. And Mayor Khan,
Yeah, but
forgive me if
how
I'm wrong,
is that? How is that?
avoiding the question.
No, but Imran, I'm not going to let you go. I'm not letting you do it. How is that a matter for the London Mayor? The London Mayor the mayoral authority doesn't have any authority. It would be Adrian Ramsey getting up in Parliament and asking the Prime Minister a question. It's a matter for the British government or not. He was just using this as an opportunity to make a video, to get TikTok views and to get clicks on social media, so that he had a clip of exposing the London Mayor when the London Mayor doesn't even have anything to do with this.
Look, he's a very prominent senior Labour figure.
Yeah,
and
he's
if
not
he
an
called
MP,
it
he's not part of the government, he doesn't have any influence over that policy. He's
if
just
he called it
Mayor.
genocide, if he called it genocide, if he stood up on the side of humanity and called it genocide, that would have an impact. Okay? So say as it is, we mustn't be shy on speaking truth to power. Okay? So yes, Adrian and Ellie and Jeremy and Zara and lots of parliamentarians, Adnan Bhai, they've called it out. They've called it out repeatedly. Iqbal Saab from Batley, they've called it out. I salute those across the political spectrum.
Including Sadiq Khan, who's called it out many times. He's been very vocal on Palestine.
Absolutely. So, look, there needs to be that safe delivery. There needs to be unfettered delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza. And how do we achieve that? We achieve that by stopping the supply of weapons to the Israeli apartheid regime. We achieve that by engaging with the Arab League, engaging with partners, engaging with regimes we may not get on with. The British government must talk about peacekeepers. They must withdraw. They must impose severe sanctions like we did on Russia. And with the sanctions we imposed on Russia were correct. The Russian government, the dictator Putin, illegally invaded a sovereign nation. Where is the outrage in Western capitals when Netanyahu is doing the same?
Can I ask you a genuine question? Can I ask you a very genuine question, Imran? Because we've probably got about 2 minutes, and I just want to quickly get this question in. The Israelis would say, if they were here, Israeli government, that on October the 7th, 2023, their nation was attacked, in which over 1,200 innocent Israelis were killed, and any government, any country, should have the right to defend its citizens from that level of violence. What else would you expect any nation to do? If that was the United Kingdom, if it was the United States, if it was Pakistan or India or Saudi Arabia, and 1,200 of its citizens were killed in that way, how should a country respond to that? Okay.
Those attacks were appalling, and they were condemned by Muslim leaders across the world. Okay. But I asked those watching from all faiths and none to look at the comparison of how the British government dealt with the Republican terror organisations. Did we indiscriminately bomb Londonderry? Did we indiscriminately bomb County Armagh? Did the British government start bombing Belfast? Was there a child in Dublin or in Belfast, the age of Hind Rajab, shot and murdered in the way that our beautiful child, our beautiful daughter, was murdered? The British government dealt with terrorism within certain boundaries, within the international norms. They were the terror suspects were arrested. They were given legal representation.
Sorry, Imran, I've got like 20 seconds.
There were no summary executions.
I've got 20 seconds. Just please tell me, how could any government respond when 1,200 of its citizens were being killed?
Every government has a right to defend themselves. However, it must be within the confines of international law. They've gone towards genocide. They've gone towards ethnic cleansing. They have their surgeons in Gaza, okay, mashallah, surgeons from British Muslim organisations, different organisations, surgeons in Gaza that have testified again and again. They've seen bullet wounds in the skulls of little children.
Sorry, Imran,
that goes way beyond defending.
Imran, I'm not cutting you off, but we've got to wrap it up because I've got less than 10 seconds. I'm sure, thank you so much, Councillor Imran Safdar there from Huddersfield. I'm sure we'll hear from you again on my show. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. As always, please continue to pray for the team here at Takbeer TV. From me, Mohammed Shafiq, and the whole team in Takbeer TV in our studios, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good week. I'll see you next time, same place. Sky Channel 743. From me, Mohammed Shafiq. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.